Hey guys, welcome back to another video here on Toned In Entertainment, where we're talking everything pop culture. Today we're continuing with our comic book discussion of the WCW Comic Book Issue number 5, The War Games. Now, if you remember the War Games from back in the days in WCW, it was probably their most famous match, but in this issue, there's a bit of a twist. Also, we thought we solved a big mystery in the last issue, but at the end of this issue, we see that the mystery continues. Let's get on with the discussion. Issue 5 opens with Ravishing Rick Rude and Paulie dangerously standing tall in the ring, with the Ravishing One wearing the WCW title. We then get a flashback of all the Stinger has had to overcome, the brawl with the Ghoul and the onslaught of the Dangerous Alliance. Missy Hyatt announces that the only way for them to settle this is for the Dangerous Alliance and for Sting to get a team together and settle it in one of WCW's signature matches, the War Games. However, this match will have a special stipulation that either Rick Rude or Sting will become the WCW champion depending on whose team wins the match beyond. Paulie dangerously announces that his team will consist of Stunning Steve Austin, Arn Anderson, Beautiful Bobby Eaton, and of course, Rick Rude. Calling the action for tonight's matches are Jim Ross and Terrence Taylor. One of the opening matches is the Lumberjack Big Josh taking on Cactus Jack. Big Josh makes an attempt to take on Cactus Jack, but he's no match for him. With just a few quick moves and a flying clothesline, Cactus wins the match by countout. Now, if you remember WCW from back in the days, you might remember a wrestler called Van Hammer, and he shows up here in this issue. Now we catch up with the Heavy Metal Man being interviewed by Missy Hyatt. Missy Hyatt asks him what his thoughts are on the new wrestler calling himself Punch Fresh, who I believe is just a made-up character for this comic. Van Hammer says, "I don't think about him at all." Well, Van Hammer better start thinking about him, because he makes his way down to ringside. As Punch Fresh makes his way down the aisle, he tries to spit some rhymes, but they're not very good. "The lady be right, there's gonna be a fight. Van Hammer's going down, cause he's a heavy metal clown. Van Hammer says he can insult me, but not my music." Just as it looks like Punch Fresh is going to walk away, Van Hammer throws out an insult saying, "My granny raps better than you." Punch Fresh does not take kindly to the insult and super kicks the Heavy Metal Man, proceeds to stomp him into the ground, and ends with one more rap. "I told the pretty boy the way the wind blows, and now he's got to live with a busted nose." Well, if I don't see Punch Fresh ever again in this comic, I'll be totally okay with it. Now it's time to get on to what we came for, and that's the War Games. We've got the Stinger Squad comprising of Scott Steiner, Sting, the Z-Man, and Rick Steiner. Sting goes on to say that the Dangerous Alliance might be a corporation, but the Stinger Squad is an army, and they're coming for the WCW title. The Dangerous Alliance makes their way down to the ring with Ravishing Rick Rude in possession of the title. The rules of the match are laid out that when one person submits, the entire team loses. The Z-Man makes his way down to the ring first, but this is not a smart move as he's pulled into the cage by the Dangerous Alliance. Paulie quickly shuts the cage door before the Stinger Squad can get down to ringside. As the Z-Man takes a pounding, it's not long until Sting is able to pry the door open and his team enters the ring to even things up. Sting grabs Rick Rude. The Ravishing One pleads with Sting to put him down, and Sting grants him that wish with an atomic drop. But while Sting was distracted, this gives Beautiful Bobby Eaton the opportunity to land a knee strike, and then Rick Rude to go to work on the leg. On the other side of the ring, Scott Steiner leaps off the top rope, hitting Arn Anderson with a bulldog. Now, this might be a minor detail and I might be nitpicking. I know it's a comic book, but I do remember Rick always being the one coming off the top rope, not Scott. Outside of the cage, Paulie is able to sneak his phone in, where Rick Rude uses it as a foreign object on Scott Steiner. Unfortunately for this Steiner brother, that won't be the end to his punishment, as Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson begin to double team him. The Z-Man, fed up with Paulie dangerously's interference, reaches through the cage and grabs his head, but Paulie has another trick up his sleeve, and for some reason, he has an open bucket of red paint next to him and paints the town red with the Z-Man. The Dangerous Alliance, continuing to work like a well-oiled machine, has Sting all tied up. Rick Rude lays out a battering headbutt on the Stinger and tells him, "You never lay your greasy hands on my belt, Sting. I'm the greatest champion of all time." With Sting out of commission, Bobby Eaton and Steve Austin now set their sights on dealing out some pain on the dog-faced gremlin. With Sting all tied up, the Steiner brothers incapacitated, and the Z-Man taking a beating, there looks like there's little hope for the Stinger squad. In fact, as the beating continues on the Z-Man, Sting has no other option than to say he quits in order to save the Z-Man from further injury. Paulie celebrates outside the ring as the WCW title has come to his stable. As if the Z-Man hasn't had enough, Paulie lays down one more kick for insult. Oddly enough, it's now Johnny B. Bad who comes down to ring to save the Z-Man and clears out the Dangerous Alliance. In the hurry that Rick Rude was in, he dropped the WCW title, leaving it behind. Paulie tells Johnny B. Bad he's made a big mistake and he needs to watch his back. Now here on the last page, we thought we had found out that the Ghoul was Rick Rude, but it seems that he was also a pawn in the Ghoul's plans. The Ghoul lets us know that his plans are still set on putting a hurting on the Stinger, and he's coming for the WCW title. Alright guys, well that does it for issue number 5, and the Ghoul is still on the loose. We thought it was Ravishing Rick Rude, but hey, we got a plot twist, and we're gonna have to keep on going to see who the Ghoul is and who's terrorizing the Stinger. So, coming up in issue number 6, this issue's called Untitled. So guys, make sure you subscribe here to Toned In Entertainment for future videos.
Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.